Hi, ladies. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be connecting with you. And today I want to talk to you about feminine energy and how powerful it is and why it's kryptonite to men. And so I think that we can't talk about this topic enough. We can just keep going on and on and on and on about it because it's so important to understand that men are just so much more attracted to a feminine woman than when you show up in your masculine energy. And by the way, my hair is not as dark as it looks right now. I know I did darken it a little, but the lighting's making it look darker than it is. But I'm going for the richer look because I want my hair to get back to a healthy place when I was highlighting it and using the extensions, and it just got really damaged. So we're going to have to do the dark thing for the summer, I decided. And so you're going to have to watch me go through my hair transition. So let's talk about why men find the feminine energy so appealing, and how you can get into into a habit of using your feminine energy more and more. I'll give you some tips about how to do that. And so, I mean, if we look at the masculine man, they definitely lean. I mean, science shows that masculine men really does lean more towards a feminine woman, and a feminine woman is definitely going to be more responsive and empathetic to a man when you're in your feminine energy. And what I mean responsive is just the ability to receive whatever's happening in the moment and let him do for you. And it's hard to do that because we are from the school of let's get the job done. I can do it. I don't need help from men. And we kind of get into a place in our society where women feel like they don't really need men, but we sure do want them, right? We sure do want them. And so in order to create that compatibility and that attraction and that magnetism, all we have to do is sit back and really sit in our hands. I was just saying earlier, literally sit on our hands. If you can think about it metaphorically, when you're on a date, if you're just sitting on your hand, not trying to do anything for the man, because you want to inspire this instinct in him that will trigger his desire to please you and to do for you, to win with you. And so, but when we do little things like offer to help, hand him a menu, go out of our way for him in those first initial meetings, he doesn't get that instinct. You don't trigger that impulse in him that he wants to provide and care for you. And I know this is all sounds very reptilian, but you have to look at our brains haven't evolved as much as our culture has, and so we're really still operating from these impulses that started at the beginning of creation. Is that men want to provide and protect for women, and women would receive that. They needed the protection of men, and they needed men to provide the food and shelter, and then the woman worked in the community and raised the children, and that was the balance. And so not much has changed actually in terms of our and these impulses. Even though women are more than capable of taking care of ourselves now, we still have that desire to have a man in our life, right? And we have a longing and ache to have love and to be seen and to be cherished and adored by somebody. But men don't have the same longing, and they long to win. They want to they love challenges, and they want to strive to be better, and that makes them feel more fulfilled in life. And so when we do for them, we step in a masculine way, we're actually taking away the very thing that drives them. And so let's talk about some of the things that you can do right now to help inspire a man to step into that hero instinct, that instinct where he wants to do for you. So vulnerability is a big thing. And I know you've heard me talk about this before. Vulnerability certainly doesn't mean being weak. Vulnerability is just you being real and having the courage to express what it is that you really are wanting and needing. And sometimes it means, sharing, like on a date, like, gosh, I was really nervous to meet you, being vulnerable and admitting that if that's the case, because he's going to see that vulnerability as a sign of like, he can now set your mind at ease that there's nothing to worry about. So little comments like that go a long way with a man. To help put him at ease that you were actually nervous. That's going to actually flatter him. And so another thing that you can do is, when I said earlier, sitting on your hands is allowing a man to show you who he is by really not going to the efforts of trying to make him comfortable, or pull out his chair, or do anything for him on the dates, or offer to go out of your way at all. Because the why I say that, it's not because I want you to use men or men to feel used. It's just because right up front you want to be able to discover who they are. And if you don't do anything very quickly, they'll show you who they are by their actions, because men are very action oriented and driven in that way. And so by you being in the receiving mode and being responsive to what he's doing, you're actually signaling him by your receptivity, he will continue to do more. You just have to give him clues about what it is. And so one of my clients just said this, and she met her guy in February, and she's in an exclusive committed relationship now that went very quick and is very deep. They're already planning a future together. They've already bought tickets for their first trip this summer. Once he met her, he decided she was for him. And here's what he said about her. He said, "You're just so easygoing and you're so relaxed and you go with the flow." And she's telling me that is so the opposite of who I really am. I'm really not that easygoing. I don't go with the flow. But since she's been working with me, she has done, a 360, because that just made it so much easier for him to claim her, to tell her that she's the one. She was, from the moment he met her, because of her demeanor, because she was going with the flow, and just allowing him to do what he was going to do. In fact, at one point in the very first date, he asked if he'd like her to, if she'd like him to order for her. So that probably might be difficult for some of you, but she said, "Sure, go ahead." So she's like, "Go ahead." So she just let go of control of the wheel, and he ordered their dinner, and she loved everything. And he thought that was really fascinating. He had never been with a woman that when he asked, "Do you want me to order for you?" And she actually said yes, and he ordered. So that was really a game changer for him. He said that really impressed him, that she let go of control. So I think one thing what happens with women is that we like to control as much as we can because we want to feel safe. That's the goal, controlling to feel safe. That's why we do it. And we've been on our own for years, so we've gotten really good at it. But the problem with that is that men really want to be the leader of that. They want to actually try to control things so that you have a wonderful experience. But when we're trying to control because we want to feel safe, then we're being more like in our masculine energy, and then there's two men in the room, and they don't see us as a match. And so it's really important to think of yourself like water. Feminine energy is like water. It's like a river. It's flowing around, and the easier going you are, and it doesn't mean that you let people violate your boundaries. That's not what it means. But it's like if you would think about a stream, how it meanders around rocks. When it hits a boulder, it goes around, right? It goes around the boulder and it keeps going, and it just finds its way. And it doesn't stop and go, "Oh, there's a boulder, I'm going to turn around and go upstream." It just finds another way. And that's what the feminine energy is all about. It's like, you leave you go to meet somebody, the restaurant's full, you decide we need to go to someplace else. You need to be really laid back about all that, because first of all, he's looking to see, men are really testing you to see how easygoing you really are. How easy is it going to be with her? So on those first initial meetings and dates, they're really assessing what their life would look like with you in it. And if you're trying to control or wanting to make all the decisions, or talking about your work and showing up in any kind of masculine energy, you're just not going to win with him. And so it's really, if you're on a date, I want you to just think about water, and about how water moves, and how it flows, and how effortless it is, and it's always going downstream. That's another important thing that'll help you remember, is that water flows downstream, right? And so if you hit up against something and there's some resistance in you, you want to look at where that resistance is coming from. And when I say resistance, what I mean by resistance is that feeling like that you don't want to do it. Like he says, "Let's go sit at this table." And you're like, "I don't really want to sit over there. There's a drafty window and whatever, or it's too loud." So you have a resistance to go and do that. So he sees that. Unless you explain to a man why you don't want to go over there, he's going to see that you're not easygoing. But really, you may just be thinking that you don't want to sit by that drafty window. So what I would do is go over to the table and say, "Sure, let's go sit over there." And then say, "I'm a little chilly. Do you mind if I, borrow your jacket or and then he would offer your jacket, something like that. So just looking at when this resistance comes up, that's when you want to take a look at it. And how the resistance shows up, it shows up in your body. You might get a clenched stomach, or your shoulders might get really tight. And those are the indication that there's something going on that is out of alignment with how you need to be on that date. And so you need to really look closer at your resistance. Like, why am I resistant? Maybe you're judging. Maybe you're judging his looks. Maybe he's shorter than he said he was going to be. So now you got it in your head that he's not a match for you, when in fact he's a wonderful man, but you're thinking so much about his height that you miss out on all the wonderful things and qualities that he has. So it's really staying out of our head and staying in our body, where we can pick up any of the messages that our intuition is sending to us. Our intuition speaks to us through our body, through the language of feelings, through our feelings. But if we're in our heads, which is a lot of women are in our heads, we spend a lot of time intellectualizing, thinking, theorizing. We're not really present. We're just really rehashing the thoughts that are already there. But the feminine is all about connecting with what's coming up in the now, what's happening in the moment, and tapping into that power, because that's where all your power really is. And that's where you want to train yourself to be. And so when you're on a date, if you're practicing being present, you can use the sounds, the smells, the environment as a way to keep you in the now. And certainly paying attention to your body, because your body's going to let you know what's happening. And you need to learn to make the distinctions and understand what those messages that are coming through. Like, for example, let's use it like getting the check for an example. So the check comes, and maybe you have a challenge with letting a man pay. Maybe you feel like, I want to contribute. So I want to offer to pay half because I want to show him that I'm a contributor. But that's not really what you're doing. You're controlling, because you're using your value as money.
When someone says to you, you got testicular cancer, that's pretty tough for any male, especially if you ride a bike.
Somebody was calling in and I had to stop the call. Okay. So when we offer to pay, what we're doing is it is a little form of control, and we're leading with our value is partly in money, instead of acknowledging that the effort it took for me to do my hair and makeup for you, right? And put the shirt on, the jewelry, and come down to my office, make the video. That is part of the value that I'm delivering, is that I've created something beautiful for all of you to enjoy, to receive, right? So I would say I'm in the masculine energy. I'm creating this so that you can receive it. So when you put all that effort into going to meet a man on a date, look at that as a value. That is one of your values, and he appreciates it. Men appreciate the efforts that you go to make yourself enchanting for a man, whatever that is for you. Because men find women, the feminine, so enchanting because it's opposite of man, right? So when you put on a little lipstick or do your nails or your hair or put on a little off-the-shoulder top, they're enamored with that. And so you do not need to reach for your wallet to bring more value, because you're already giving so much. I mean, think about how much energy it takes just to have poise on a date. You're already nervous, a first meeting, a second date. So much energy goes into that. That's already, you're giving so much as it is. You need to stay in that receiving mode so you can allow him to fill your cup back up while you're sitting there, because you've already spent so much energy. And the men, what do? They just shave, throw on a shirt, and run out the door. They don't have that same kind of the getting ready. I mean, I watch my husband, and it's like, I'm over there blow drying and makeup and everything, and he's done in like 3 minutes. I mean, literally, he showers, shaves, and is in the kitchen in 3 minutes. And I'm in there. I'm like, I'm going to need an hour. So just remember, your value can't be quantified by your home, your jewelry, your handbags, money, the accomplishments and achievements. Men just don't really care about that. What they care about is how their time with you is going to be, how you are going to make the quality of their experience better. And that's really what you can do. You have the ability to make the time that they spend with you unforgettable. That's why there's that song, Unforgettable in Every Way. Why do you think that song was so famous? It's because she made him feel unforgettable, and or he made her feel unforgettable. But you know what I mean, right? So the point that I'm making, I think I'm getting through to you, is that your role is to just create this experience for a man, and all you have to do is show up and be in your feminine energy, and you will have accomplished that. That's the goal on a date. And what that would include would be just sitting back and just being really curious and observing who this man is and what he's all about by being curious and not judging, because you don't have to go out with him again. So the judging on the dates really has to stop, because you never know. Men surprise me all the time, and men surprise my clients all the time. And so if you would just stop being so picky and just let yourself go on a series of dates just to practice being in your feminine energy, you're going to be delighted by what men will do for you. And they'll bend over backwards for you, especially when you show up at admiring, accepting, appreciating, and acknowledging men. Kind of like those 4 A's: admiring, accepting, appreciating, and acknowledging them. And if you just spent that time in your body on the date, you will be in your feminine energy. And so you're finding things to admire about what he's sharing. You're finding things to appreciate. Thank you so much for making the reservation or meeting me. You're looking at ways to acknowledge. Maybe he's a parent. You're like, wow, I just really admire what a great father you are. You can admire him. Men long to be admired by women. The thing with men is that they can't tell you that. They can't come out and say, hey, will you admire me today? That has to be earned, right? Respect and admiration is something that we earn from others by our behavior. So when a man does something that does it well and you appreciate it, he longs to be admired by you. That will provoke the instinct to protect and provide for you, because that's something that he craves and he cannot get from anybody else, that admiration. But he wants it from a woman, and especially the woman that's sitting across from him. That will win out over anything else that you could be doing. And I know that's one of the things that changed and that what attracted Michael to me, because I had a lot of appreciation. And I came out of a divorce, and I had decided that I was going to do it different. I really wanted to do it differently than I had when I was married. And I was very in entitlement when I was in my first marriage. I was coming from that masculine energy. I felt really entitled to have everything. I didn't live in I didn't live in appreciation, and I didn't live in gratitude. And I look back and go, wow, I can't even believe I made it as far as I did. But that's with learned behavior. And what I did learn was how much people respond to you when you are showing gratitude and appreciation. It's just incredible how you can turn the energy around. So let me answer some questions. I hope this has helped you and supported you. I can't overemphasize enough to learn how to be in your feminine energy. And that's exactly one of the cornerstones that I teach in my Engaged in Any Age program, that, by the way, I'm almost ready to close my enrollment next week, is the drop dead date. If you've been on the fence about joining me, you need to book a call with me so we can talk about if that's a fit for you. But one of the things that we really, really work on is cultivating this. It's not as simple as like in one shot you're going to get it right. It needs to become a way of life. And one of the biggest benefits that I found of living in my feminine energy is it's just so much easier. And it's so much more natural once you make the shift. And it feels so much better. And it's more fun. It's so much more fun to have Michael do for me, because he wants to, because he knows it makes me happy. And I know it makes him happy, right? Because I'm letting him win with me. And so we have a really great balance, because I'm so much in my feminine, he's so masculine, and that's what makes us work so well. So that's one of the main things that we focus on. And what happens though when you go to get in your feminine energy, there's a lot of blocks and beliefs that surface that try to sabotage your efforts, because we're so used to controlling to feel safe. So I will invite you to my call that I'm having. I'm doing a live training call where you can do a longer Q&A. It's going to be 90 minutes this Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific. I'll drop the details in the box below. An opportunity for you to get some more coaching on any blocks, beliefs, or behaviors that you have that you feel like might be sabotaging you, or letting me help you uncover those really quickly. So make sure you join me for that. It's a free call. You don't have to sign up or register. Just show up at the conference line, 8 o'clock Pacific, and we can start to interact. I'm going to have a couple of my coaches and my clients on the line, so you can hear from them about what they went through and the shifts they needed to make, and how they attracted their soulmate. And so and let me just check out the questions and see if see if there's anything here I can answer. I've got to read this here over here on YouTube. Hi, ladies. Thank you for being here. So I'm just reading the question, see if there's something that, do another video with Michael. Yeah. And his side of things. Good idea. Actually, that's a great idea. I know that he would love to do another video with me. In fact, we could do that right away. Start to understand. I think that I think with age, many of us women start to understand the importance of complimenting men as well as not worrying about the small things. Really great point. I think one of the things that I talk about a lot is letting go of a lot of the small things and really focusing on the big things. And because when we focus on the small thing, it feels like we're picking on men. We're picking on every little tiny thing, kind of like our mom used to do us. And so we have this habit of doing it to men. We don't even know we're doing it. Like, oh, you should park there, or the light turning yellow. We're like giving them instructions, telling them where to park. I mean, even I succumb to that occasionally, and I'm like, oh, I don't really need to tell my grown husband how to park a car. I think he's got this. But it's a habit. So cultivating, I love that word, just continuing to cultivate this, getting back to your natural state, which is your feminine energy. It really is a more natural state for women. And we certainly do that in community. Women really thrive in community, whereas men are more in that hunter-gatherer state. They don't really hang out in communities like women do. And that's why we find groups like I run so supportive, because we do need to do the group thing with women. That's why we're all here together, right? Can you give an example of how to set boundaries with man while remaining feminine? Yeah, so let's see, how to set a boundary with a man remaining feminine. Well, I could give you an example. If you're out on a date and a man is like, would like to get you another drink and encouraging, you're like, why don't we have another drink, and you don't want one. So you just smile. Like, no is really powerful when it's done with a smile. So he's like, no, I don't think so. I'm fine. No, you go ahead. Or, no, because it's getting late and I need to get going. But thank you anyway. So you thank somebody when you don't want to do something. I always find thanking them first, like, wow, somebody calls you up or he wants you to go somewhere or go away for the weekend. Maybe that might be the case. A lot of men want to take you away for the weekend so they can get more intimate with you. It's actually a great time to explore physical intimacy. But unless you're at the right stage in your relationship, right? Not unless you're at the right stage. So what you can do, how you would set a boundary, is you would say, wow, thank you. That is so thoughtful and generous of you to invite me to go to Napa with you. I would love to go. And I think it would be, great to explore that maybe in a couple months. We've known each other a little longer, but I absolutely would love to go to Napa with you. You see how I did that? I said no, but I just let him down so gently. And but I did tell him I wanted to go, but I also let him know that I planned on dating him for a couple more months before that was going to happen. And so I told him more than one thing in that. So, but you can do it with a smile, and always with that feather, not that sledgehammer. And so, where did you buy that shirt? I love it. So yeah, these are this is a Mini Rose. It's a clothing line, and last year she came out with these, so I bought one in every color. I just love them. This year she has another off the shoulder top. So just go to minirose.com and check out her tops, and you'll be able to find it. And so let me do one more question, then I'm going to close down the chat. Ladies here on Facebook, I don't see a lot of questions here. When you're in your energy, amazing things happen. That's right. They can happen, because here's why: when you're in your feminine energy, amazing things can happen. And that's not just a cliche. The feminine is open and receiving. So you're like a channel, right? And so something comes in, you process it, and then you release it. That's the feminine energy. We don't hold on to things, because then there's that block. And that means that we've gone into our thinking mind, or we're thinking about. As soon as we go into our thinking mind and leave our body, we start to process things intellectually. We shut down that receiving, that it comes in, we process, we release. So that's why the feminine energy is all about the flow. It's going with the flow, learning to dance in the rain mastery. And that's it. It's raining. It's raining. You have no control over whether it's going to rain or not. So it rains and your hair gets curly. Big deal. Going with the flow. But as soon as we get into that drama about, oh my gosh, my hair, we shut down what's happening in the now, which could be kind of fun and a great story. You end up all wet, go to the restaurant, got to dry off. And now you're sitting there, your hair's all messed up. But you just had this great experience with the man. So there's so much value in learning how to bring, stuff comes into our life, we process it, and then we move it on out. We let things go constantly because we're processing. And as soon as we stop with all these blocks and we go into our thinking mind, we stop everything that we want flowing to us. It's like we just close the door and then we reopen it. When we're constantly closing and reopening, we don't create enough consistency in that flow. And so that's why I always say we have to cultivate. It's like practice it. We have to practice it. And you need the environment in which you can actually do that and in a long enough amount of time so that you can see the results that you want, because it doesn't happen overnight, right? You've had these habits for a long time and it takes time to turn Queen Mary around, I like to say, but it doesn't take very long. So I'm going to liken it to, how long does it take a forest to grow? So, well, let's just speculate, 100 years to grow a forest, but how long does it take to burn a forest down? Pretty quick, right? 10 minutes, 5 minutes, a couple hours. That's how fast mastery can be over your mind and to cultivate your feminine energy. But you definitely need the right focus, structure, and accountability to keep you on track so you don't go chasing after all these shiny pennies. Because if you still haven't mastered this skill set, that means it is very hard for you to follow through and finish what you started. So the application of everything that I teach is the utmost importance, not necessarily the information, because information doesn't mean transformation, but it's the application of the information. So ladies, show up on Saturday at 8 a.m. and you can pepper me with questions and my coaches and get some coaching. We'll talk a little bit about blocks, beliefs, and behaviors, but not much. This is more of a coaching call and less of a content call. So we're going to do 15 minutes of content to get the ball rolling, and then we're going to do all Q&A. And you're going to be able to hear from multiple coaches, not just me, because I want you to get some perspective in a very short amount of time. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you always showing up on Thursdays. I'm so grateful to have you in my community, and I really feel blessed to be able to teach you these skills so that you can have the love and life that you deserve and long for. Okay, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you next week at 4 o'clock. And Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Check your email. If you're not on my email list, take the quiz or get on my email list so that you get that notification invitation. All right? All right, ladies. Love you. Bye-bye. Bye, ladies on Facebook.